next. Flex, the livest one in the section. Fit the runner, boy, you nigga, no question. You would run a motherfucker high stepping. Hey, you never had a big enough weapon. Motherfucker never learned your lesson. I'm an 88 pack nigga, woof. I'm an 88 pack nigga, woof. I mean, day walker, drink blood, fangs out, full moon, motherfucker, change like a hoe, nigga. I'm just a nigga from the hood, trying to stack a little cheddar for the money.
Yeah, buddy. Yeah, buddy. Lightweight. Lightweight, baby. Oh, it's time to bleed. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Stormy, what it do, man?
Yo, man, what's good? Glad to be here. Feeling a little bit better.
Good, man. Good, man. That was an excellent stream you did this afternoon when I was in the gym, getting it in, listening, man.
Yeah, I had some nice call-ins, man. These guys, especially that last call, the brother Al. See, he called in, and the subject that he inquired about, it led into some other things, and that's what conversation is all about. When you have the right kind of conversation, you can end up with the right, correct type of communication. So I was glad for that. Very proud of today's show. Very proud.
Absolutely, and rightfully so, man. That was a hell of a show, man. Let me see who's in the building. As we wait for our guests to get here. Mr. Paz, J. Wayne Citizen, Dwayne Jones, King Jr., Adrian Vick, Bert, what up? Mark Wunderlich, Ratchet since 91, Big Homie Coop, Mike 202, Duke Todd, Jose Diaz, Stay Connected, Black Attack, Nitty G, Dwayne Freeman, Brooklyn Born, Stephen Lamont Hawkins, Healer the Mind Body Coach, my man Focus Ball in the building, Junior FRM 919, salute. My man LaRon, Broken Traditions in the building. MP, what the fuck? What's good? D-Man Jr., Bruce Goes the OG in the building. What's that, Mo G? What up, man? Who else we got in the building? Family's falling in. Mark Casey, Jamal Davis, Omega Red. What's up, fam? Kenneth Johnson, M Banks Unfiltered, DOG. What up? Stephen Zen, DMV in the building. Mark Booker, Mark Casey, Devin Blocker. Yes, sir. So as we're waiting for our guests to check in, let's talk about the events of last night. Where you want to go first, Stormy? Where you want to go first?
Listen, man, it don't matter. We could just go around. It's like, that's the whole thing about boxing, man. It's like you get a little bit of everything. And yesterday, that's exactly what it was. We had some upsets. We had some things to go down the way we kind of thought it might. But still, everything was action-packed, man. I mean, each card served its own, meal, so to speak. I was very happy with the boxing. And I'll tell you something. Watching the DAZN 2 broadcast yesterday made me feel good about having DAZN because you got some good boxing out of it. Now, some of their broadcasts may leave a little bit to be desired, but overall, isn't that what boxing is? It leaves a lot to be desired. So,
yeah,
I enjoyed it, man. But how about the Galahad fight? Let's start right there because, you know what? I was trying to think of who he reminds me of last night, and then I forgot his name again. The Cuban brother that was at lightweight.
Kiko Martinez.
No. Who Galahad reminds me of.
Oh.
What's the brother that was at lightweight that he fought back in Floyd's era and everything? He's an older guy, like in his 40s.
Casamayor?
There you go.
Yeah.
That's who Galahad reminds me of. Casamayor.
Yeah.
And, in that fight, he took Martinez light. Now, Martinez is a former world champion. And, he lost. He came off of a loss for that opportunity last night. But you never know when an older fighter still got something in him to show the young upstarts, right? Yeah. And he took advantage of that boy with his chin up in the air. And Drew, when he hit him at the end of that fourth round, knocked him down. You know, the bells kind of saved him, and he went back to his corner, and they didn't have enough time in the corner to bring him back to his senses. Because as soon as he came out in the fifth or the sixth, whichever the fight ended in, he came out, he got hit with that shot early in the fight within the first 20 seconds or whatever, and the fight was over.
It was over. Caught with the same punch, too.
Yes. And he was catching him with that shot through the past, you know, I think the fight ended in the 6th round. He was catching him for the past 3 rounds with that shot, but it wasn't landing in the right spot. It landed in the right spot, fight was over.
Crazy, right?
It's going to be tough for Galahad to come back from that because of the embarrassment, the shock, and the realization of what went wrong. He may not take what went wrong properly.
Yeah, you know? that's a sad state of affairs because they put Galahad on a pedestal. They put him on a pedestal. They called him, like DOG said in the chat, man, he was supposed to be world class. He's supposed to be world class.
Mm-hmm. And he is. But look at what I said and pointed out. He was fighting a former experienced champion. You can't be an upstart and don't know what you're doing. Remember that old song, learning how to pee straight?
Yeah.
That's the thing. Galahad became a champion early, but how much does he really know about boxing? You can't be in there with a fight that a veteran with your chin up in the air. What would Bud Crawford do to Porter in this fight coming up if Porter comes out there with his chin up in the air? What would Bud do to him? You gotta listen, man. I say it all the time. A lot of these guys become champion before they learn how to fight. And
that's the danger.
Yeah.
That's the danger. And I just wanted to share this I just wanted to share this since we're in the UK having conversations. We're gonna get to the rest of the fights in a second, waiting on the guests to get in. But I just want to share this with the family if you haven't seen it. Let me know if you can hear it once I play it.
If it's a clip of the action, you don't worry about the sound.
I'm a failure.
You can hear it, Stormy?
Yeah, I can.
I can't do anything right. Everything I touch turns to wood. Except the things I need turn to wood. I use pills for that. It makes my eyes bleed. So my life is a failure. My life is a failure. My life is a failure. My life is a failure.
Oh man, that's just what I needed.
I was just petty. Oh man,
you gotta play that one more time before the end of the show, or right at the end of the show.
Oh hell yeah,
I love it.
Oh man, I was feeling so petty. I was I was sitting there last night, and I said, after Harper lost, I said, wait a minute, Harper, Galahad, Saunders, AJ. I said, yo, and DAZN just abandoned ship, like we said would happen. I said, yo, they lost. It's over. Like we said, a lot of fighters ran over there because it was giving away money. So Canelo went and got his bread. Boo Boo Andre went and got his bread. Triple G went and got his bread. Everyone went and got them. I ain't mad at them. Go get your money.
Yep.
And now look, get your money. I love it, man. Because
that's good, man. I love that, man.
I can't do anything right. Hey, man, I don't feel. Diana Branch, salute, sis. Listen, I ain't mad at nobody. I'm not mad at Eddie Hearn. His net worth is in millions. But he failed over here, like I said he would. He didn't understand the American market. He had no idea what the hell was going on. And he goofed up. He had $1 billion bag, remember? Eddie Hearn got $1 billion. He gonna buy up all the PBC fighters. If the PBC sucks, why were they so concerned about grabbing up all their fighters? And they failed at that. When you can't bag up Adrian Broner, you failing. I knew it was over then. I knew it was over before it started. I knew that, man.
Sellouts wouldn't sell out.
Exactly. The sellouts wouldn't sell out. Exactly. Everyone who they thought would go, they thought they were getting Broner, the Charlos. Nope. Everyone stayed their ass right there. And salute to Joe Burns in that super chat. Much love. He said, Drew being petty, I love it. Yo, I just thought about it. I was watching the fights like, wait a minute. After Harper lost, and I want to talk about that for a second.
Yes.
Salute Boxing and Barbecue. Salute. I read one person say that fight was stopped prematurely and she wasn't given a chance to defend herself. No, listen, she was out on her feet, man. Everything froze.
Let me tell you something. That's the first time in a very long time that I saw a fighter get knocked out on their feet and don't hit the canvas. The referee saved her because she was unconscious, and if he let her fall to the canvas, she could have possibly been injured worse.
Yes,
because she was not awake. She was out on her feet. Did you see her legs go stiff?
She was stiff,
and then she turned sideways. And as Alicia was about to finish up beautifully and finish her off with a left hook, ref stepped in because he didn't even know the ref was catching her. It took her a few seconds after his embrace that she kind of like, whatever. But he saved her.
Sure did. Saved her. That was a perfect right hand on the button. For those of you that don't know what that is.
About that.
Mm-hmm.
I said that when fighters get hit on the button, Drew, there's a place between your jawbone and your chin where your mouth opens and closes. There are nerves and if you hit a person right, they used to call it the sweet spot, the button. You hit a person there, the jaw go one way and the head go the other way. The person is out. And that's why the old fighters practice targeting your chin. See, these guys today, they're not taught to hit the chin. They're taught to just inside your head and stuff like that. But when you can throw your punches with precision, you could get clean knockouts without using a lot of power because it's all about the accuracy. And Bumgardner, she threw that shot. And I said this earlier talking about it. If you were to ask her, is that the hardest right hand you ever threw? She'll tell you no.
Nope.
Because she just threw it. And if you throw it perfectly, I can hit you like this. And I hit you in that sweet spot and your legs will do a jiggle.
Yeah. And you'll never even know why. You'll never even know why. You know what I'm saying?
And she caught it. It was a double effect because she caught her coming in. Just like Deontay caught Fury coming in that first knockdown in that fourth round of their fight.
Right.
And then force against force. It was awesome.
That was perfectly timed. That was boxing at its best. And
absolutely.
She that was a well-timed right hand. And I said, ooh, I hope Harper's okay. And then she's okay. So then I'm watching the later on that night, I'm watching the Benavidez fight. And it just dawned on me. I said, wait a minute. Eddie Hearn is losing on the way out. It's like his fighters are losing and DAZN America's done. All right, John Skipper already said it's done. And like his fighters keep losing and it's like he's getting kicked in his ass on the way out. It's the funniest damn thing. Funniest thing. But hey man, I ain't mad at him because he's a millionaire. So there's only so much fun I can make but I'm gonna take these cheap shots. Not cheap shots. They're rightfully so, because he was supposed to come up here and regulate. Remember that? Oh, he was talking hella trash.
Listen,
and all
man,
we said,
the transatlantic takeover undoing. Okay.
mm-hmm.
So he deserved every bit of trolling, of insulting, of whatever you can bring at him simply on that alone. Everything else is gravy. But that transatlantic takeover, you know what? Get out of here on my steel-toed Timbs in your ass out the door. Yep.
Salute to my brother Tony's Reviews. He in the building. What's up, Tony? He said Baumgartner put Harper into full factory reset mode. She was standing still as if she got frozen by Sub-Zero. That was bad, man. That was bad. But you know, good job by the ref, man, because if he let it go, she could have gotten hurt for real. Good. Now that was excellent refereeing for him to stop. But wait, speaking of refereeing, was Jack Reese working Saturday night? You saw Jack Reese
working in the he was working in the Gabe Rosado fight with Jaime
Munguia.
Munguia, yeah. Hey, can we talk about that for a moment?
Please, go ahead, please.
All of a sudden, he's concerned about gloves now?
Go.
Listen, he at some point in the fight, I forget which round it is because I haven't had a chance to rewatch it, but he goes after Gabe Rosado, who was having a moment against Jaime Munguia, and he's turning up the heat on him. All of a sudden, Jack Reese inserts himself into action, and he's pulling on his glove, and he's yelling something, and then he's yelling at the guy outside the ring, the doctor or something. And when the bell rings to end the round, he jumps over there and blocks himself between the two fighters, looking at Gabe Rosado, and he pulls him over and says, "Come here, you don't do this again." And I'm like, what did he do except for lay hands on Munguia like he's supposed to, getting ready to stop the guy? And all of a sudden, he pulls him to the... But after admonishing him for a moment, he took about 15 or 20 seconds admonishing Gabe Rosado, then took him, and then they brought a different glove to the corner or something. You couldn't really see what was going on, and it was never explained. But people, like on my post-fight show, we were talking about, I didn't see him get the glove replaced because it was the time in the corner when Evander Holyfield had a glove changed in the corner against Burt Cooper. It took a couple of minutes. Well, they didn't replace the glove because it took only his 60 seconds or whatever, and he went back out for the next round. But it was never explained what the hell was going on there outside of saving Jaime Munguia from being in a bad situation moments before the end of the round. But it was to the bell as other circumstances during that same fight. But I would say it was probably with maybe 40 seconds to go in the round, or maybe 50. And, he was touching Jaime up. Then Jack Reese asserted him. So, I mean, am I wrong? Did you see the same thing?
I saw the same thing you saw. And I just sat in my living room like, here we go again. We need to make a worst referee award. Jack Reese, Mora.
They head up the list, bro.
Man, this
everybody else might fall under them, but those two are at the top.
Yeah, look at Bruce. He says, what was all that about the glove? Exactly.
It was never explained. See, that's how you know it's corrupt, because it wasn't explained. Remember, when something's going on in a fight, the best referees will call a halt action. They would call time. They will say, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. This is what's going on to the 3 judges. And then when the round ends, after he calls time in, he'll go to the corners and tell each corner does Jack Reese do that? Absolutely not. Does Mora do that? Absolutely not. This is how you know that those are corrupt and their actions are along the lines of being corrupt.
Man, and no one's going to put emphasis on that but us. Certainly Jack Reese is concerned about gloves. But
amazing.
Wait a minute. Do I still even have that picture up here? This was Jack Reese. He was there for that. Jack Reese, he was there for that. He was there for that. Jack Reese, this was coming to the ring. He didn't see that? You know what his response was? Those are some big guys, and gloves do that. In the third fight, there was nothing wrong with anybody's gloves. There was no slippage. There was no floppy glove, nothing. But
I've been watching the big guys most of my life, and ain't nobody ever came to the ring with their fist in the wrist portion of a glove or their nose in the palm portion of the glove. And you yourself had someone tell you in the gym what that means and what it does to put your fist disproportionate inside the glove.
In the wrist of the damn glove. I'm telling you, Stormy, when I saw it, it was like a movie. I flashed back, and I was 13 years old again, hitting the bag. And well, this damn man, 30 years later, I don't even know if that man's still alive. But his face is right in my mind. And if, I could pick him out of a lineup if I don't know how much he's changed or not, but I'll never forget what he said to me and what he told me. I said, you hurt somebody doing this. I said, this is illegal. He said, it's illegal if you get caught. And this was an old school, and he so happened to be from Michigan. He so happened to be from Michigan. And this was an old school, grimy, gritty, missing front teeth trainer. But he knew his stuff, and he knew that. And I do recall saying, I don't want to do that, but now I know to look out for it in the event I do want to pursue a career. And then you got people saying, oh, yeah, we know what he did. You had pro fighters saying, we know what he did. That's an old trick. So now you got Jack Reese. Now he's concerned about gloves. I don't know what the action would stop. You heard Gabe say it after the fight. He said, the scorecards was too lopsided. And I thought I was winning. I know what round he was talking about, too. And I said, why did he stop? Man, you want to talk about protection agency. This is ridiculous.
And let me tell you, for the most part, Jaime Munguia was performing exceptional in the fight for himself. He didn't need that type of assistance. If something was happening and it wasn't going to go his way and he was going to either get stopped or knocked down or something, in his fate. You know what I mean? So I don't understand what was afoot there, because there were several times when he was in trouble. It was very near the bell or something like that. But this was a moment when it was not. Jack Reese's actions took it to the bell. You see, I mean, the guy, I would really rather see a rally of fighters petition against he officiating their fights.
Salute to Copper. He says, facts, Drew. That's true. I learned in the same thing. Didn't and wouldn't do it. Learned it in Michigan at Kronk. Yo, Marco, what up, brother?
What's up?
Yeah, we waiting on the guests.
Man? What's up, Stormy? Chilling.
Yeah,
all right.
Hasim is on CP time, so we're waiting on him, but we cooking.
You want me to hit him up? Want me to remind him?
Lionel's coming on. Lionel Butler's coming on in a second. But I called him. You can shoot him a text. Tell him we waiting on him. He could call my phone. I just called him.
He's actually usually pretty punctual from all the years I've known him, but maybe something's happened.
Maybe he fell asleep. I don't know.
I was at that I was at the Canelo fight last weekend. I was in Vegas doing some covering some stuff.
What was the atmosphere like?
I hate Vegas. I mean, yeah, right? I feel like at our age, and if you're not fighting, it's a lot of cigarette smoke.
Oh man, in the casinos, I was not used to that. And weed, I was not used to that.
Yeah, there was So the atmosphere was cool. I went to the weigh-in was dope. We got press passes and stuff, and Mike Tyson was there chilling with us, and I was doing some work with Paulie Malignaggi, and the weigh-in was cool. I think it was the first weigh-in I could in a long time that they allowed the public. So the stands were like packed.
Yeah, right.
And it was like 90% Canelo fans, and then you had a little group of like Caleb Plant fans. But it was cool.
Yeah. What do you think of the overall fight?
I think it's kind of what everybody expected, right?
Yeah, the outcome.
Yeah,
I was riding with the American, but I clearly said number one, not gonna be easy. Number two, when you're fighting Canelo, you're already down on the cards. The card's already done, as a matter of fact. It's your job. It's your job to change the judges, well, at least two of the judges' minds, because one is already bought and paid for. That's just my opinion.
No, you're absolutely right, because at the time of the stoppage, I had Plant ahead maybe by one round, but the judges had some ridiculousness going on.
Bro, they didn't have him winning one round.
It's crazy. Yeah, that's come on. That's just crazy.
Caleb was in that fight. Caleb was in that fight until he got caught.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff.
But you saw a clear momentum shift when Canelo started putting his hands down, getting a little cocky, because he smelled what was starting to happen.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. He was Caleb was in, man, I don't know what the hell, man. I just got so disgusted, man, because round 11 didn't have to happen. Round 11 didn't have to happen. And plus, of course, I'm fine with the outcome. I accept it for what it is. I checked my mother effing email, and here we are. They're talking in the ring, having a conversation like they're on Friends. And I said, what the hell was this?
My interpretation of that personally was Caleb was almost starstruck being in there, and he was looking for validation. Like, I'm good, right? I'm good, like a child.
Yep.
And Canelo's like, yeah, you're good. I just, it was weird.
And that was my fear of going into this fight, because he had never had a true step-up fight in his career. He was only fighting guys at his level or beneath his level. And see, rather than show the starstruckness out of being in all like that.
Hold on, y'all. Hasim.
Yeah, I'm here.
What's good, bro? What's good, man?
What's up with you?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Excellent, man. Excellent, man. We alive.
Okay.
You're on the show. Yes, sir. For those of you that have been living on the moon, all right, we got none other than the legendary Hasim Rahman on the line right now. How you doing, brother?
I'm great. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, sir. You're sharing the panel with my brother Stormy B-Man, and someone you know.
Let's see if he recognizes a voice. What up?
What's good?
What's up, Hasim?
What's good with you? How you been?
Chilling, man. You know who this is?
I know who it is.
All right, because when he told me you were going on, I'm like, I gotta jump on.
That's what I said.
Yeah, man. So let's get it. We're waiting for Lionel Butler. He's gonna be joining us soon.
Okay.
But you're on here now. We're a little starstruck because I came up watching you, man. I came up watching you. You was always a hard worker. You ain't duck no smoke. I'm gonna go straight to my favorite Hasim Rahman moment.
Okay,
Well,
go ahead.
before
I'm
you
gonna go
go there,
straight.
Drew, let me just say this. I'm not starstruck. I got a hell of a lot of respect for the brother. But you know, with the background that I have, I got some things I want to say too. But it's like I'm not starstruck, but I got a lot of respect for his accomplishments in the ring, man.
Nah, no doubt, no doubt. You're not playing with words out here.
Yeah.
Hasim's the man, but I'm gonna go straight to my because we gonna go straight to it. We're gonna go straight to it. Favorite Hasim Rahman moment. I'm gonna tell you exactly what I was doing that night. I went to my boy's college, his little brother's college party, and you were fighting that night, and you was fighting Mr. Lennox Lewis. And I see Reggie Owens in the chat. I'm sorry, bro, but I gotta go here. I gotta go here. So I'm like, man, do I watch this fight or do I go to this party? And I said, man, I already know what's gonna happen. Now I picked Lennox. I picked Lennox to win unanimous decision.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I did. I said, but I'm rooting for the American. But I said, man, I already know what's gonna happen. He's gonna have his moments. He's gonna go 12. They're gonna give it to Lennox. Because at that time, they were talking about him versus Vladimir Klitschko. So I said, man, come on. I already know what they're gonna do to my man. I said, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead to this party. Right? I go to the party, right?
Right.
So we all dancing. I'm dancing with this girl. The DJ says, yo, any Lennox Lewis fans in here? And I'm like, here we go. He said, yeah, he just got flatlined. Yo, I literally pushed the girl into the abyss. I don't even know where she went. I ran to the DJ booth. I said, what'd you just say? He said, yo, Hasim just flatlined Lennox just now. I ran out the party, ran back to the dorm room, cut on HBO, and you were celebrating holding the belts. I was like, yes! Yes! Bro. And I saw the replay. I said, oh my God. The one time I said, yeah, I already knew what's going to go. I went to the damn party. But, man, that's my favorite Hasim Rahman moment, man. What was it like? Talk to me about that night. Talk to me.
Man, it was just, everybody was against me. I was like me against the world. So I just, I believed in myself. I got over there. I trained properly. And I went and did what I always believed I could do, become heavyweight champion of the world.
Yes, sir. Indeed, you did that.
Hey, check it out, champ. This is my memory for the same event, but a little bit prior. I used to go to work and come home and check out ESPN and everything. And on this day leading up to the fight, you and Lennox was in the studio. Now, let me just say that was one of the most fun moments I ever saw. And you pumped Lennox right there on ESPN in the studios, man. And you told him, you say, look here, man, don't be saying nothing about my family or whatever. And Lennox was like, I can say whatever I want. And you say, oh, yeah? And you stood up. And he's like, yeah, what you want to do? And you took him down over the table, man. It reminded me of when Ali and Frazier fought in the studio with Howard Cosell sitting right there. History in boxing always has a way of repeating itself.
Wait, Joe?
It was the greatest thing because you got into Lennox's head on that. And I said, at that moment, I said, I got to see this fight. I got to see this fight. And then when you wrapped it up like you did, I was like, oh, man, this was beautiful, man. So what was that like after that studio conflict?
I think that moment is why I lost the second fight.
Oh, yeah?
I felt like I was too strong for him. I just felt like I manhandled him. And I really didn't give him the proper respect he deserved.
Yeah.
The rematch.
I thought you were going to get him in the second fight too. We didn't have social media and all this internet access and stuff like we have today, which kind of allows certain aspects of media and everything to kind of follow you guys around 24/7. We had to wait for the broadcast or ESPN or whatever to give us updates. CNN had what's his name, Nick Charles, and those guys covering you back then. So we didn't know certain aspects. But the only thing that I would have said was about that rematch was you didn't use your jab enough in that rematch, because Lennox never liked when people jabbed with him or out jabbed him. And that was an Achilles for him. A lot of folks don't know that, but that was. Lennox wanted to be the guy that had the dominant jab. But if you took his jab away from him by jabbing with him, it offset him somewhat. And you actually did it in the first fight.
Right.
You know what really sucked that night, Hasim? That rematch. That was on November 16th, right?
It was the 18th, I think.
It was the 18th?
Yeah.
That was the weekend or that week of my birthday. And I said, damn, I said, this brother gonna win. But stuff happens, man. But you had a couple of moments, man. But my brother Bruce Goes in the chat wants to know, why was there never any trilogy, like a tiebreaker?
You gotta ask Lennox that.
Oh. Wow.
I used to see Hasim when he turned amateur, only had a handful of fights, maybe 1 or 2 fights, and he was fighting the #1 ranked heavyweights in the world, right? And he was beating a lot of them and coming this close to beating a lot of them. So his talent, his natural gift for the sport, because he didn't turn pro. I mean, he didn't start fighting until he was, 19, 20? Something like that? Right, Hasim?
What happened?
You started boxing at what, like 19?
I can't hear.
You guys can hear me? Everybody else?
I can hear you.
Yeah,
I hear you.
You hear me, Hasim? Hello?
Hasim, you can hear?
I can't hear what he's saying.
Oh,
I can hear you.
He said, did you start fighting at the age of 19?
20.
20.
I mean, if he can't hear me, this story's kind of for him, so it doesn't. You can't hear me at all, Hasim? Oh.
No, I don't think he can hear you too. I can hear you well. I mean,
I can hear you though. I can hear you. Everything you say.
Right, I'm talking into a mic. That's why. But we can hear you. So you started fighting at 20. So you was a late bloomer. You ain't come out the womb fighting. You was a late bloomer.
Yeah, I just came off the block and jumped straight in.
Text him right now.
Could you talk to us about, man, I got so many questions. Let me pass it around first. Ed, what you got?
What's going on with your champ?
I see you can hear him?
Hello?
Yeah, you can hear?
I don't think he could hear anybody except you, Drew.
He might
You hear me?
turn his background down or something.
Yeah, I think Hasim, you got a lot of noise in your background.
Yeah, I know. That's why I told you I ain't really had that much time. That's why I wanted to get right into it.
Oh, okay. And try and speak again. Maybe he can hear you now.
Hasim, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Everybody on the panel, how y'all doing? Everybody in the chat, how y'all doing?
Salute, Trick.
Yeah, man, it's good to be talking with you. I was listening to what Stormy was saying earlier about when you and Lennox Lewis got into it, and I noticed one thing: Lennox Lewis, somebody grabbed Lennox Lewis's suit and tore it. If y'all go back and look at the video, he was more mad at the person that tore his suit than he was at you. I don't know if y'all paid attention to that, but yeah, he ripped his suit out. But the question I want to ask Hasim is anybody that any fights that you wanted that you didn't get? Is anybody that ducked you?
Okay, can you repeat that question?
I said, is there any fights that you didn't get, and was there any fighters that ducked you?
I mean, I thought I fought everybody in my era, maybe except for Tyson, but I don't think it was a duck thing. It was a promotional thing. It was some people were fighting other people at different times.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted all the smoke. So whoever ever asked me to fight, we fought.
You ain't lying, man.
Yeah.
Talk to us about My favorite matchups that you had was with David Tua, because David Tua was knocking over trees at one point. And you got in there, and you want to talk about how styles make fights. You went in there, you wasn't scared of that left hand. Talk to us about the fight you had with David Tua.
I mean, I don't really have a lot of respect for David Tua. I think I beat him twice, and I don't have no victories on my record for it. You know, I dropped him, I beat him up. They gave me a draw, and they gave him a victory, and I punished for both fights.
Yeah, you damn sure did drop him in the second fight. You caught him with a counter, and he fell, man. And they blew that call. That was a knockdown, man.
I mean, and not only did they blow that call, but the first fight, he hit me under the belt clearly, and they gave me no time to recover.
Yeah, that was some BS, man. I remember that. That. That was crazy.
And let me say this. They want to, even though you was the first one to drop them, they want to take that from you. They want to say Monty Berry was the first one to drop them, but actually you were.
Yep.
Man, they know what it is, but I mean, you know, like I can't go by what the record books say. If the record books is counter to what the facts are, then why would I look in the record books?
Nah, you right.
The record books say that Julio Chavez and Pernell Whitaker had a draw, but I'm supposed to believe that?
Hell no.
Beat the brakes off of.
Hell no.
Good point.
I'm looking at someone in the chat. They want to know no rematch with Oleg Moskayev. You didn't want to run that back?
I did. We did.
No, I'm saying like go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening.
I said he did. I can't figure it out, but I just, you know, when I get in there with him, it just, I don't know, something happens. Like, you know how they say, some people just, you know, I just feel like if we fought 10 times, I would win 8 out of 10. He just won the first 2.
Bro, I hear you, man. I mean, one thing I say about you, man, you was tough as nails, man. And you never let a loss rattle you. You always came back the same way. I mean, it's like, all right, you know, I got caught. This just happens. Let me get back in the ring and make it happen again, man.
Can I say something about that Moskayev fight? Both fights.
Say whatever you like.
Okay, this is what I think happened with the Moskayev fight. You know, typically in boxing, the coaches and everything like to tell the fighter, get off first, right? But for whatever reason, Moskayev, when he fought you, he liked to fight behind you. He shadowed you. And I don't know if you were really prepared for that, because you could be leading, but he'd come behind you and catch you and things like that. And it offset your rhythm, because he wouldn't even, it was like he wouldn't take the lead. You know what I mean? But he looked to operate off of whatever you did. And that's kind of a sly thing to do at the elite level, because most guys are looking to get off first. But if you got a guy who is calculatingly getting off second, it offsets the rhythm of the guy who's taking the lead when he knows that, oh, you know, I'm out front. But he seemingly did that with you in both fights. And I think that was the difference. Now, some people might think of it as like, well, he was counterpunching you, but that's not the case. He was allowing you to take the lead, and at some point, he'd jump in with something of his own, and he could catch you vulnerable in that sense. But this is after me studying the fights, because I studied those fights that you had with him, because your styles, believe it or not, was kind of similar, except for you would be an aggressor. He would be like a guy waiting for an opportunity. Would you agree with those things?
Yeah. Where was you at when we was fighting?
Well, I'm still here in the shy, man, where I always been, coming out of the shy. But hey, I wish I could be. I tell you that, because listen, man, there's so much I have to offer, but Hey, champ, you did well though. You know what? Like I said, I love to watch you fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there were a lot of guys who weren't necessarily chomping at the bit to get in there with you because they knew what you had to offer. So, you know, you did well.
You know, it was a lot of heavyweights in my era, and you know, some of them we offered to fight, they didn't want to fight, but I just look at it like, you know, they had bigger, safer opportunities.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I want to know. I know we all over the place right now, but I want to know. You fought. I'm looking in the chat right now. Yeah, you fought Khalid Meehan. That guy's big, man. He was 6'5", 237. You just walked through him. I mean, it was like you wasn't even. You even tried to box him. You just went there and knocked his head off, man. You remember that?
Absolutely, it was in the Madison Square Garden. I think that was one of the fights I prepared the best for. And the reason why is because it was at Madison Square Garden, and it was all the heavyweights on the card. I just wanted to outshine them. I just wanted to let everybody know I was the best heavyweight on that card.
Well, damn, he didn't even have time to blink.
That was the game plan.
Yeah, was that if I remember correctly, was that an eliminator? Because I know that was that an all heavyweight card? I vaguely remember.
Yeah, it was an all heavyweight card, and it was eliminator. And you know, he had just came off the draw with Lemon Brewster, so I wanted to stop him. Man,
damn sure you did. Jamil McCline. Remember him?
Yeah.
Y'all never mixed it up or never talked about mixing it up, did y'all?
No, we sparred in the gym, but we never fought.
Yeah, they were looking for the next big thing out of America. But I always said, you know, he had a physical appearance. He was a big guy, but I always said, you know, for me to be a believer of Jamil, I need to see him in the ring with Hasim Rahman. It never happened. It never happened.
You know, I like Jamil, so I don't really want to say nothing, but I definitely feel like, you know, that would have been a Khalid Meehan type fight.
Wow. What about let me see. Lance Whitaker. I'm pulling out names right now.
Mount Whitaker.
Lance Mount Whitaker. Goofy.
See, the problem with them type of guys is they tall, but they wasn't using their height like that. So, you know, same thing with me. I feel like I would have just got inside and just mauled them. But you know, with guys like Klitschko, when he fought Sam Peter the first time, before Emmanuel started getting him to use his distance, I would have been the same thing. And once they start fighting from the distance, using their jab, grab, that's when they got difficult to fight. But before Emmanuel installed that tactic, and these guys was easily beatable.
Yeah, you ain't lying. Because
you got to realize the guy that I beat my first 10-round fight stopped Klitschko. You know, Ross Purdy. He stopped Klitschko. And then a guy that I won my first world title before I even fought Lennox, Corey Sanders from South Africa.
That's right.
He knocked Klitschko out in like 2 rounds.
Yep. Go ahead, you was gonna say something?
That's a great segue, champ, into a question that I have. I think like guys like yourself with that size of about 6'2.5", 6'3", that's the best size for a heavyweight. Now you can be in the 240s or whatever as long as you're a distributor and carrying that weight well. I do believe the day of the big guy is going to go by the wayside again. These big, tall guys, as long as the shorter guys, their skill sets together, because they're more agile. They have more dexterity and everything. Where the bigger guys, taller guys, they're more cumbersome. As long as they can get the teaching, that's what's going to beat those guys, because they're basically made for something else, and boxing is not necessarily it. Would you agree with that as you look at guys going forward in the future? Like you got a son that's boxing and everything.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. But I can tell you a remedy to all this bull crap. They need to just make the ring like 10 by 10, 12 by 12. So it ain't really no advantage like that. You gotta fight. The fight will be way more exciting.
Yeah, I agree that those big wide rings they're favorable for certain people.
They damn sure do.
Yeah.
They
Chris
short.
Bird was one of the
see
few
some
guys you could
exciting
put him in your living room and let him fight, and he still was hard to hit. You know, so
Yeah.
tell us
Yeah.
about that fight that you had with him.
Chris Bird.
Chris Bird. What about Chris Bird?
How was that when you fought him?
Me and Chris Bird never fought.
Yeah, they never fought.
I thought you guys fought. I'm
I could have
sorry
swore
about
you guys
that.
fought.
Nah, they definitely didn't fight.
No, we sparred. We sparred. We never fought.
Oh shit!
Okay,
You know what I'm thinking
okay.
of? I'm bugging. James Tony. My bad.
Oh, James. Oh, yeah. You know, James was. You know, I felt like once again I got robbed again. We fought. I thought I beat him. I thought I outpunched him. I thought I know he had to go to the hospital after we fought. But you know, for some reason I can't let my record say what I am because I know I beat him.
Yeah, I was torn on that fight. Go ahead. Ant. Go ahead.
Hasim, the night William Joppy fought Felix Trinidad, were you there at the fight?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was there. I walked Jabby in the ring.
And my follow-up question was were you in the locker room with Joppy with Trinidad without wrapping his hands?
Was I what?
Were you in the locker room with Trinidad while they're wrapping their hands?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
You know, I interviewed Joppy, and he said that Trinidad's wraps were loaded. And we actually, during the interview, Arthur McCanny, who reffed that fight, jumped on with us. And we were like, did you see anything? You know, as a ref, seeing those, you know what I mean? And he was like, I couldn't really tell, but there's been a bunch of allegations, obviously, towards Trinidad for that same thing. So
Yeah, Fernando Vargas said the same thing.
Mhm.
These guys said this guy's gloves was loaded, and all the way up to when he fought Bernard Hopkins. That's when brother Nas caught him, and that was the end of that.
I guess
Historically, Hasim, is there anybody that you would like to fight at any point, like to have fought any point in history? Any fighter?
That I would have liked to have fought.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably would say Mike Tyson.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Mike Tyson got the man, the myth, the legend. Everybody think he's unbeatable. So I definitely would have loved that.
Go ahead, Stormy.
Hell no, Mike Tyson ain't unbeatable.
Yeah, I think that Rockman would take Tyson easy because Tyson had a problem when people weren't afraid of him.
Yep. I don't know where this oral invincibility comes from, Mike Tyson. I don't get it. I mean, these
I'll
cats.
tell you what it is. You really want to know?
Go ahead.
The era that Tyson started out in, there were a lot of underachievers and misfits in the sport of boxing at the heavyweight division. You had guys who were drug addicts. You had guys who were out of shape, who were half-assers. They didn't study their craft. Even though some of them had talent, they didn't optimize their talent. And Tyson came in as this whirlwind of activity that he took advantage of their weak points. And by the time the division started catching up, guys in shape, guys coming out of the Olympics, things like that, next thing you know, he was losing to Buster, and then it was off the map for him. Now, I bet the champ would agree with that, right?
I see me there.
Yeah, I'm here. You asking me, do I agree with what you just said?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. It was more like a bully syndrome. You know, But when you get, like what you said, when you get guys who are not afraid, and when you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. That mentality, you know, like with Holyfield, when he fought Holyfield, it's a whole different story.
Whew.
Yeah, Holyfield made himself look like the bully against Mike.
Hey, look, I'm gonna have to check out right now. But we need to get a date for me to have my own hour or whatever. So
No
let's
doubt.
set it up.
No doubt. We'll set it up. We're always welcome, brother.
Let's set it up when I can get my whole thing, and then all questions, all answers, all the fans. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. So catch me next time. Let's set it up.
Absolutely.
So,
I'll be in touch.
I hit you up, Hasim.
Great talking to you, bro.
Likewise.
Yes, sir, indeed.
Yeah, we're supposed to have Lionel Butler on also. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, man. Man, I want to get him on, man. He got some Don King stories, man.
Yeah, I needed to hear that. And salute to Reggie Owens. I was just about to ask Reggie. I saw it earlier, Reg. I was gonna ask him. He wanted to know what were his thoughts on Mario Corley. I've never seen a fighter so scared.
You know, going back to that Tyson thing, I was a huge Tyson fan. You know what it is, like growing up in New York, especially. But
Yeah.
I feel like he's overrated now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Elaborate on that, please. I've been saying that for a long time.
Well, because he looked like he had the aura of invincibility, and he looked like nobody could beat him up until he fought Buster. And after he fought Buster, can you name one mega fight that he won?
No, he lost them all. He lost them all. He came back. He beat a couple of people he was supposed to beat.
But mega fights.
Yeah, but the mega fights he lost. He lost them all.
And the thing with him was this. His style was so aggressive. He was so fast, and he was so, he had that he looked mean. He scared people, like especially fans. So I think it was always that possibility when he fought more than any other fighter that, you can get laid out at any second of this fight. And that's what kept the fight so exciting. You know what I mean? But yeah, as people put him up in the greatest heavyweights of all time, and I feel like he peaked too early and then left his peak too early. So I don't think we could say that.
And you also have to consider the contemporaries that he had when he was at his so-called best. I just laid out the landscape of all the misfits and underachievers that were there.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Spinks was not a real legitimate heavyweight.
No.
He was able to have success against the heavyweights that he did because of his size, his elusiveness and everything, but he wasn't knocking them out. And the thing is, by the time he got to Tyson, his knees were horrible. He couldn't even get out of Tyson's way on the night that they faced each other.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back and look at the fight, he has knee braces on both, he bandages on both knees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if he was at his best, like he was against Stefan Tankstead and Jerry Cooney when he moved up to the heavyweight division, Tyson would have had a much difficult time with him because Spinks wasn't like people felt like when they fought, Spinks was afraid of Tyson. He may have had a leeriness about Tyson because he knew what his own shortcomings were. I'm not going to be able to get away from this guy because of his legs and everything.
Right.
But Michael Spinks, if you look at his career, especially at the light heavyweight division, even when he stepped up to finally get in the ring with Larry Holmes, he was not afraid of him.
Mm-hmm. I think the thing with Tyson was we all saw what could have been because he did possess some of the most amazing skills, especially as a heavyweight that we've ever seen. You know what I mean? So I think we all were like, if he would have had his head on straight, if he would have stayed with Kevin, whatever it would have been, he could have been that person, but it just didn't turn out that way.
But really, how good was his skills? Let's flip that a little bit. And I'm not trying to start an argument, but just kind of debating something that people don't pay attention to. It was his elusiveness that he kept up early in his career. He was very hard to hit, like Larry Holmes said. Mm-hmm. Now, basically, he counterpunched off of people missing him with combinations. But the more successful he became, the more he cut corners, and the things he did to be so elusive in bouts, he began to get away from those disciplines.
Right.
So that made him average.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well,
he wasn't a tough man like a Joe Frazier.
Right.
who didn't have his elusiveness. Now imagine if Joe had his elusiveness. Joe's
That left
career
hook.
would have lasted longer, and he would have beat more individuals.
Right.
Think about that.
Well, I agree with you. I think that what Tyson did have that was above most was the speed and the power. You know what I mean? He had more speed than I've seen in any heavyweight. I could even say in history, and very top level power. A lot of his power was from the speed and the snappiness of the punches, as opposed to heavy hands. But still, you know what I mean?
But he threw his punches in combinations. That's where the knockouts came. Tyson did not knock out a lot of guys with single punches, like a George Foreman.
Is
or
he
even a Lennox Lewis. Most of his knockouts came after boom, boom, boom. And then, the guy is in trouble because he placed them very well. Body, head, head, body, and then back to the head. His combinations that he threw were very unorthodox off of the punch chart. Remember the right hand to the body and the right uppercut behind it? There were guys not doing that stuff, except for Floyd Patterson used to do it, but he didn't have the power that Tyson had.
Right.
But if you really look at it, how many guys did Tyson knock out with one punch?
I mean, I think there's a lot of that too. I agree with what you're saying with combinations, but there's a lot of fighters he one punch laid out as well. He was a threat with those hands, and he took Cuss's style, which me and Hasim knew real well because that's how we started, and he was the perfect body and mind for that style at the time.
I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Jose Ribalta.
Oof, that was the guy he took.
Jose Ribalta, Tyrell Biggs,
Frank Bruno,
Dinklin Thomas. You okay? Even Trevor Burbick. It was a series of punches that got those guys out of there. Not a single punch. Okay?
Frank Bruno also.
Frank Bruno.
Yeah.
A series of punches. Even in the rematch with Frank Bruno, he didn't clean his clock with one punch. It took a series of shots to get a guy down.
Yeah.
See, go back and look at the fights for yourself. When you're talking about mediocre opposition, of course he blew through those guys. But when he started fighting guys in the top 10, the top 5, and championship level, he wasn't knocking guys out. He dropped Buster Douglas with an uppercut. Buster got up. Okay. He dropped Michael Spinks with a great shot, one to the body, and then a uppercut, and Michael Spinks went down, but he got up.
Yeah, most of his punches.
This is what I'm talking about. We remember the highlight reel of knockouts collectively, but we don't remember what led to the stoppages. Again, Evander Holyfield used to knock guys out with single shots, left hooks, or right hand counters. Guys would go to sleep. You remember his fight against this kid that he fought, James McDonald. Left hook on the button. Boom, he went to sleep.
Damiani.
Muhammad Kawi at cruiserweight, who had a damn good chin. He took George Foreman's punches. Holyfield hit him with a right hand on the chin. He went down, face down.
Damiani.
Adelson Rodriguez. Holyfield stopped him with a right hand to the temple.
I remember that.
Listen, it's a difference when a guy can punch like that. A sharp puncher can get you out of there. That's what Holyfield used to be. But Mike Tyson, it was always a succession of shots because his style was predicated on activity like that. And remember, I said once he slowed down, that went away. The punches that he was hitting Razor Ruddock with, he was having trouble even when he hit unleashed combinations. Razor Ruddock was still there. Lennox Lewis put that dude down and out with one shot.
Yeah. Most people I've interviewed who fought Tyson all say the same thing. His punches were not heavy; they were snappy.
That's a difference.
And this
That's
is
a
me
big
talking
difference.
as an observer, and you've talked to guys who've been in there with him.
Yeah,
They already shot down. You know, the fact of him being a one-punch knockout guy. Larry Holmes said after their fight, he said, there's other guys who punch harder, like Ernie Shavers and everything. He said, but he's a very sharp puncher, and he said he's very elusive, hard to hit. What that means is that when you miss him, something's coming back.
Right.
And when he was at his best, it was coming back in combination.
Absolutely. He had a couple one punches like against what's his face, the South African dude, Franz Botha. But for the most part, you're right. It was mostly combinations and chopping the tree down.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
with saying that, because there's more mystique about Mike Tyson, and for the later generations that never saw him live, they only go to social media and see the highlight reels, and they put him on this pedestal. But we've lived through the era, and we've watched it with a critical eye. With saying that, let me ask y'all a question: is Mike Tyson an all-time great due to what he's done in the ring, or is he an all-time great due to the mystique that surrounds him?
Well, should you be an all-time great by the mystique that surrounds you, or should you judge by what's in the ring?
I would judge by what's in the ring.
Because a lot of people, that's an argument with Ali. A lot of people say, not a lot. There's a bunch of people that say Ali was the greatest human being of all time, but in the ring, there are other fighters more skilled than him of all time. That's what some people say with him as well.
Okay. No, that's fair. That's fair.
I think you should judge in the ring as well. I agree with you, but
yeah. Trick, what you got on that?
Well, I want to say this.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna go back for a second. I listened to what Stormy was saying about the one punch knockouts, and I was bringing one name up when Holyfield knocked out Francisco Damiani with that left hook. Y'all remember that fight?
Not really.
I don't.
No, that was Ray Mercer.
No, Holyfield. Remember, Holyfield fought him, and Holyfield caught him with a left hook and knocked him out. Francis, I think he's from Damiani. Yeah, he's from. Excuse me.
I was gonna say, I don't think Holyfield fought Ray Mercer.
No, he did fight. He did fight him.
He fought Ray Mercer, but I don't think Holyfield fought Damiani. He was supposed to fight Francisco Damiani, who pulled out of the fight with him, and he ended up fighting Burt Cooper. I remember that.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
But it was Ray Mercer who knocked out Damiani with a 45 in a fight that he was losing for the WBO heavyweight title. And Ray Mercer knocked Damiani out. He broke his nose with that 45 that barely just hit the clip of his nose, and it broke the bone back in. And Damiani went down. Blood was profusely coming out of his nose. But Holyfield didn't fight Damiani.
Well, back to what was, but
no, but I'm just saying,
right. I thought he did,
guy, but I don't recall him fighting Damiani, but he was.
I thought he knocked him. I thought he knocked him out. I'll check it out. Somebody can check it out on Boxer. I thought he knocked him out with a left hook, but
looking right now, no, it was Mercer versus Damiani.
It was Mercer.
With the left.
It was Mercer's left hand that he knocked him out with.
So I'm putting Holyfield in Mercer's body. Okay. But it was a left hook though.
Well, they both had that box cut at one time.
Exactly.
Yeah. More serious.
But I'm finding a poster here that they were supposed to fight. There's a Holyfield versus Damiani poster.
That's yeah. That fight was supposed to happen. It didn't happen.
But
happened. Go ahead.
But I think based on Tyson being an all-time great, I would put him in there. I would put him like in the top 10 or nothing like that. There were once, when there was resistance, there was problems. I can go back to where he fought Tony Tucker, and Tony Tucker hit him with an uppercut and knocked his mouthpiece out. And I don't know if a lot of people remember that. That was the first time I heard somebody knocked his mouthpiece out, and Tucker hit him with an uppercut and knocked his mouthpiece out. And Tyson he had a different look on his face after that, and it was kind of, still the fight went the way for Tyson wanted it to go, but he was kind of cautious about coming in on Tucker after that. But I think he's an all-time great, not in the top 10 or nothing like that.
That Tucker fight was the first fight that Kevin Rooney earned his check, because he coached Tyson to victory in that fight, because Tyson would have lost that fight if Kevin Rooney was not with him. It was the same kind of circumstances that he ended up facing with Buster Douglas, who ironically was winning a fight against Tony Tucker,
and he quit
before just shutting himself down in the 10th round. And you have to know that the winner of that fight took the IBF title, and it ended up being Tucker, who went on to fight Tyson. So Buster could have ended up fighting Tyson earlier than he did, and probably to the same result. The only reason that Buster Douglas shut down against Tony Tucker was because there was war going on in his camp, in his corner, regarding his dad. And he finally had enough of his dad. So in the middle of the fight, he just stopped fighting. people think that he quit against Tucker. He was shutting down against his dad. It came out years later when people started to inquire and everything. But his dad was so obtruse in his career. It's like he had to get away from his dad. And by the time he fought Tyson years later, his dad was no longer a part of his camp for several years. But I'll say this: his mom dying gave him a different type of focus.
Fueled him.
But at the same time, his dad was no longer in there with him. And for people who want to say when he fought Holyfield, it's like, well, he came in fat and out of shape. No, he didn't. He was mentally upset again. That's the one thing about Buster. Everything had to be on cue for him to perform successfully. Don King kept him in the courts ever since he defeated Mike Tyson. And he had court battles. Don King was flying him from Cleveland to the West Coast to New York for this thing he was trying to do about suing to get the belts away from Buster because of the fabled long count or whatever. And so Buster eventually started just walking around with only the IBF belt.
I remember that.
Pictures with that. The WBC and the WBA, he wasn't carrying those belts because those sanctioning bodies didn't stand up for him. But Don King was trying to get that WBC back away from him because everything came clean in the wash when he was asked the right questions. Don King, who had Buster Douglas in his camp, right, in his stable of fighters, was on his last contractually obligated fight with Don when he fought Tyson in So in one fight, he did what nobody else could do. He cleaned Don King out of the heavyweight division. Beating Tyson and knocking him out. And then didn't have a contract with Don after that.
That was an amazing thing. That was his night.
Amazing thing. And that was a blessing from God, because of what Buster lost in his life personally. And it gave him economic security for the rest of his life. Steve Wynn offered him that $25 million to fight Holyfield that November.
That's right.
So Buster, he was good to go economically, and Don couldn't share in the money.
Don couldn't get him. Yeah, that's right.
So he got all his money, but he lost the title, but he was free from Don King. So there was a lot going on. You understand?
Yeah.
It was a beautiful thing for Buster. When people talk about him being a one-hit wonder and everything, you have to know what goes on behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, that's right.
To know exactly what's what. But Buster Douglas fought Oliver McCall in a hell of a fight between two journeyman heavyweights, and he beat the crap out of Oliver McCall, who had a hell of a chin.
That's right.
And guess what he weighed for that fight? 246 pounds, just like he did for Evander Holyfield.
Evander Holyfield. The rumor is, go ahead, Marco.
I'm sorry. I'm saying Buster Douglas, that was skill. The skill he showed the world when he beat Tyson. You can't say that's a one-hit wonder. Maybe he didn't always get to that level mentally, but that was some skill. I think Tyson was a real product of his life outside the ring, because it had all of us. When you take that and mix it with the amazing speed and elusiveness and snappy punches, power that he had, it had everybody be like, what the fuck's going to happen? Unpredictable. You know what I mean? Because I remember when he fought Razor Ruddock, I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but there was a lot of like one punch, hold, one punch.
Yes.
And we're all so frustrated because he'd already abandoned the bobbing and weaving. So he never really got back to that. But his unpredictability outside the ring, I think, really made him such a draw and a captivation for all the fans. You know what I mean?
Well, people
let me ask you a question.
And remember, it all began with Robin Givens.
Let me ask you a question.
When she embarrassed him on that television show,
I'll never
took
get that.
everything away from Mike. She might as well have pulled his underwear down in front of the cameras on national TV.
Well, let me ask y'all a question. Had Mike not gone to prison, y'all remember how the division got live when he got locked up? There's so many matchups that I dream about that he could have had. First and foremost, How do you think he would have fared against Ike Ibeabuchi?
Got knocked out.
What about Riddick Bowe?
Got knocked
He
out.
got knocked out. Yep.
Wow.
Ray
What about
Mercer.
Chris? What
Ray
about
Mercer
Chris
Ray
Bird?
Mercer would knock him out.
I look at Tyson as like the Tyson that fought right up until Buster Douglas. Right before that, that Tyson, in my opinion, had a chance of beating any heavyweight in history. The Tyson after that, which was the majority of his career,
Look at the way he fought Razor Ruddock.
that's what.
He
Yeah,
stood straight up, and Razor Ruddock no longer was the boxer that he used to be. He fell in love with knocking people out with a big left hook. He abandoned a right hand. He wouldn't use the jab anymore. Do you know his nickname, Razor Ruddock, came because he was cutting people up with the left jab. He used to be a fighter who would dance around the ring on his toes like Ali and throw zipping combinations. The whole thing about knocking out guys like Camille Odom, and then a little bit later, he knocked out Bone Crusher Smith,
Bone Crusher.
and then he knocked out what's his name, Dokes. He
Michael
fell in
Dokes.
love with that power punch because he found out he could hit really hard with the left hook and the left hand of 45. So he just totally abandoned his boxing skills. He was supposed to box Mike Tyson, take him deep, knock him out. But he was so busy trying to hit the guy with his biggest, best, hardest punch that if you watch the opening bell for their first fight, that's the first punch he threw at Mike. He wound it up as hard as he could and threw a damn uppercut 45 and almost knocked himself down. With the first opening punch like that. And Mike just did like this. Mike, who was standing straight up, did like this. And the punch missed by a country mile.
Amazing.
I just interviewed Razor Ruddock. I think Anthony, you saw that interview if I remember correctly. He still wants to be fighting right now. He's a little delusional. Yeah, he's out there. Yeah. He's out there. He's like, he's like 63, and he's like, because we're like, yo, that smash punch. He goes, yeah, man, you think that Razor Ruddock look good? Wait till you see the Razor Ruddock now. And me and Jeremy are just trying to be professional. Like, yeah, okay.
and I'm watching, right? And this, look at me. I'm Razor Ruddock. This is what he kept doing.
He kept looking off like there was somebody coaching him what to say. Like
he had some shades on.
Yeah.
Hey, you know, he had the shades on. Yeah, he was.
He might be trying to get that Triller money, man, but it's not worth it, man.
I mean, he was clear. I'll say that his voice, he didn't have any signs of any kind of anything going on. In terms, just maybe a little crazy, but not. I don't know if it's from punches.
I mean, look, last professional fight he had, he got knocked out, man.
He was like
a few years ago.
Yeah, it was like 58 or some crazy shit.
Yeah, what the hell was he doing in the ring? And he looked physically fit.
And it was a real fight, not an exhibition, right?
Yeah, it was a real fight. He got slept in like one round.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
I brought up Lennox Lewis to him, and Trick, you remember this, and he was just like, "I don't want to talk about Lennox Lewis." He didn't want to say anything, not one word.
Really?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, he's still hot at Lennox.
They used to do a lot of sparring together. When he was a professional fighter, Lennox was in his camp. Lennox wasn't. I don't think he was quite professional. He was just turning professional. So he was sparring with Ruddock, who was like shades ahead of him, you know, professional wise. But Lewis closed that gap very quickly because one thing about Lennox Lewis you have to respect, he was always a quick study in boxing. What he didn't know, he sought out to know. What he could learn, he sought out to learn it. And that's a very admirable quality in a fighter because you can always learn something as a fighter. And he showed that throughout his career. I always tip my hat to that because where he did that, other guys cut corners or they stopped and laid it down. And that's why they weren't as successful as he was.
I think Lennox is the flip side of the coin we're talking about, where Tyson might have been overrated. I think Lennox was severely underrated.
Absolutely.
In history.
Yeah.
Do you know when he came to the Catskills to spar with Mike Tyson, it was off of getting word that there's this kid up in upstate New York that's, you know, dynamite. He's knocking people out and don't nobody want to spar him because he goes so hard and everything. And Lennox and his people were like, hey, let's go up there. You know what I'm saying? It's like, dude, you don't know nobody today that has that type of mentality trying to go for the smoke, so to speak, as we say now. We weren't saying that back then, but Lennox wanted the smoke.
Yeah.
That's respectable.
I saw that interview. He mentioned that recently in some interview too. I saw that. Yeah, he was just
Y'all remember the what does he call it? The Olympic story.
But
he walked up on Riddick Bowe.
Yeah, Roy Jones.
Roy Jones told that story. Yep.
Yep. He said they were all in a room or something, and with all the teammates and stuff. And Lennox came over to their room, and he stuck his head in, and he said, "Hey, yo, who's Bowe? Which one of you guys is Bowe? Riddick Bowe, and the heavyweight champ." And everybody pointed over to Riddick and everything. He's like, "Yeah, me." He was like, "I'm effing you up," and he turned around and walked out. And everybody was like, "Whoa, whoa!" And it's like Bowe was like, you know, but at the same time, that's the confidence he had because he had been in there in the Olympics before. He had lost to Tyrell Biggs. He lost to Stevenson in the Olympics prior. So he had got his education. You understand? Yep. And he was letting it be known that he's the man now. That's why he beat Bowe in the amateurs in the Olympics. But it could have been a different thing in the pros because Bowe had something he didn't have at that time. Bowe had Eddie Futch. And that's why they should have fought when they were supposed to originally fight, because Lennox was all talent at that time, not necessarily talent and skill. He was all talent. Bowe was skilled at that time because the tutelage of Eddie Futch made a tremendous difference in his career.
Yeah.
And you saw what happened when he got away from that and lost that dedication and focus. And then Lennox ended up getting Emmanuel. And you saw what happened with that. So it's like, you know, one guy was going in one direction, the other guy was going in the other direction.
Yeah, I think Bowe's another guy who kind of peaked early and then just mentally just wasn't into it anymore. Once he went,
I wish Bowe would just stay in shape, man. He could have been. His legacy would be so much different, man.
Well, there was something else about Bowe too that nobody wants to pay attention to. You see the condition he's in today, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you know what that comes from?
Talk to me.
Andrew Galata.
No.
It's Andrew Galata.
No. The way he was getting hit in the fights, he was getting hit in the gym.
There you go.
Everybody has a moderation of what you can take physically. Some people could go long. Julio Cesar Chavez almost had 100 fights, but he don't slur his words. And he was getting hit.
Yeah.
Riddick Bowe was getting hit in the gym, not because he couldn't defend, not because he wasn't taught defense and things of that nature. He was getting hit because he was trying to be a tough guy.
Yeah.
Just like James Toney. Now, we talk about James Toney's defense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard him try to say something?
Not a boy.
Think about it.
It's bad.
And
That
Stormy,
comes from getting hit in the gym.
Stormy, let me cut you off for a second. I hate Marco got off the panel because I'm glad you mentioned that, because he said when Tony walks, one of his steps are off.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, that's neurological damage, bro.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Man, I'm so glad he didn't fight Jeremy Williams, man. I was like, who
Yeah.
the hell, man?
Yeah.
Man, I was
Damn,
like,
Marco.
Man, I was like, man, that fight don't need to happen, man.
Mm-mm.
Damn,
And
he probably had to go, yeah.
And Castillo and Marco Antonio Barrera got off too. They supposed to fight here in Houston about 2 weeks ago, but the fight's off. And I mean,
Castillo and who?
Marco Antonio Barrera was supposed to be doing the exhibition here in Houston.
For what?
But the fight was the fight was off because Castillo got a rib injury. I still need to give him a call. Still want to try to get him on the show, but I'm glad they didn't fight though, man. I don't want to see these fights, man.
These guys need to stay the hell home, man. I get nervous every time I hear about these guys. You know. I get y'all heard Shane Mosley talk lately?
No.
bro.
Yeah, it's creeping up on him too.
Yep, it's creeping up on him.
Wow.
It is, man. I was listening to him. I said, "Wait, did he?" I literally said, "Did he just wake up?" And I'm watching him. I said, "Nah, B." And it's like, man, I don't recall him taking heavy damage. But then again, he's gotten in some wars, right? The Vernon Forrest fights. Floyd was rocking him. And again, like Stormy said, we don't know what kind of sparring was happening in those gyms, man.
I'm telling you, that's why I say, and you've heard me say this before, but I'll say it one more time. I won't continue to beat this drum. That stuff that goes on in Floyd Mayweather's gym, that doghouse stuff. And
yeah, that's
everything,
bullshit.
Yeah.
Man.
These guys who try to have these wars to prove their manhood and all of that stuff, dude, that's not boxing.
It's not.
That's not boxing.
That,
in the gym is where you're supposed to learn skills, learn how to defeat different styles, learn how to shore up your defense and everything, and learn how to get hit. The most important factor. Let them hit the shoulder, let them hit the arm, let them hit the glove. Don't let them hit the head. And then you got guys out there taking it. Oh, you can't hit. You punch like a sissy. And you know what? 5 years of that can take 5 years of your mental faculties away from you when you're no longer fighting. That's why you're starting to see it now with Shane, because how long has he been retired?
About 7 years. Yeah.
I didn't even know, but you see the time?
Right. And I'll say
5
this.
years later,
we had Hasim on here earlier. There was something going on with his boys at Floyd's gym a few years ago. Yeah, you remember that?
Yeah.
There was something going on with them. They mentioned the doghouse. There's no need for that.
Hey, and I'm gonna tell y'all, when I was in Vegas, I seen it firsthand how them guys in there sparring. And I'm gonna tell you something. There's a female boxer named Jamie Bell. She just won the belt. She went to England, won the belt, the WBA belt. I forgot what weight class she's fighting at. But there's not very many women in the gym that I know that come there. But she was sparring with like 3 or 4 dudes. And I mean, she was going as hard as she can. Of course, they're not going as hard as they can, but they're still hitting her. And she's sparring with a guy he's pretty heavy-handed. Spar with a guy that could box, and she sparred with a guy that was kind of both into he can box and he can brawl a little bit. So you sparred 3 different types of guys, but at the same time, I know what you're saying, Stormy. That could take some years off your life. So I've seen that up in Mayweather's gym, how them guys are going at it. I mean, they try to kill each other.
It's
I saw it.
unnecessary. But before I get out of here, I want to make sure that everybody sees this on the way out, man. In case you missed it. Yeah.
Hey, I was listening to that earlier when y'all was talking about that. Boy, you wrong with the 2 left shoes.
I can't do anything right. Everything I touch turns to wood. Except the things I need turn to wood. I use pills for that.
Eye socket.
But that makes my eyes bleed. So my life is a failure. My life is a failure. My life is a failure.
Oh man.
This is failure. This journey is a failure.
Oh. Oh man.
Hey, Drew, listen. Hey, listen, before we go. It's funny you bringing it up. Now, who was the girl that got knocked out the other day? Well, yesterday she got hit and she stood her up. What's the girl's name?
Harper.
Okay.
Terry Harper.
Go back and watch Christy Martin versus Deidre, whatever that black lady. Remember when Christy Martin hit that one black chick?
Oh, yeah. And she stood up?
Stood up, yep, exactly. That's the first thing I thought of. Yeah. Kenny Bayless is like, y'all remember that in the chat?
Yo,
I saw that live. She was fighting on the Mike Tyson undercard.
Yep, undercard. Yep. Was it Tyson Bruno or can't remember what it was. It was Tyson on the Tyson undercard.
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
She stood her ass up, man.
Yo, I seen an MMA fighter get punched out, and when he was on the floor, the ref woke him up. He started grappling with the ref.
I seen that. I seen
And he
that.
was like, "Yo, what would you stop the fight for?" He said, "Nigga, you been asleep for 5 minutes." What the hell? Come on,
Wait.
man.
Wow. Yeah, I remember that.
Hey, when Gene Foreman got knocked out by Sugar Ray Robinson, man,
Oh,
and you know they stopped the fight and everything. Foreman went down, and he woke up in the corner, and he was looking at his corner man, and he said, "Why is Robinson over in the other corner? Why is he jumping up and down doing exercises?" They say he's not doing exercises, Gene. He won the fight. He was like, "How did he win the fight?" He's like, "You were knocked out."
You
He's
knocked
like,
out.
"What?" It's like, because Ray was over there, you know, celebrating and waving to the crowd and everything. And when Foreman woke up, he was in his corner on the stool and looked over at Sugar Ray Robinson. He think the fight hadn't started yet.
Damn.
Yeah,
Yo,
man.
Man.
The KO
knocked
can do some
unconscious.
weird things to people.
it's not funny. Yo, I told y'all the moped story.
Mm.
Man, I got on this moped. I didn't know what I was doing.
Damn.
I turned that motherfucker on. It takes off. I go flying in the air.
Woo.
Next thing you know, I look up and everyone's standing over me like, "Yo, you all right?" I'm like, "I'm good." They was like, no. Lay there. I said, "Nah." What? They said, "No, you've been laying here for like 6 minutes, just staring. We didn't know whether to call the ambulance or not." I said, what are you talking about? Yo, I hit my head on the street.
Mm.
It felt like I blinked. Because I went there, I felt like I knew the bike, the moped took off, and it just felt like I fell and I was just getting up. And I like it took off, and then I fell, and then I blinked, and everyone was standing over me like, "Yo, you all right?" I said, "Yo, what you mean, Malay? 6 minutes, y'all ain't call 911? What's wrong with y'all?"
Damn.
I had a big old knot on the back of my head. I said, "Damn." I was asleep for like, they was like, "Yo, you were just staring."
And
You
you
ain't
lucky
blinking.
you didn't die from that.
Yeah, I said, "Yo, please call the ambulance."
There's people who hit their heads tripping and falling on concrete and die. So
Don't,
you
yep. You lucky, yeah.
not lucky, blessed. You're
Bless. There you go, yeah.
That didn't happen to you. But there have been people who died over even less.
Mhm.
But bumping that noggin, man, that's why I said earlier, Drew, that when that referee stepped in and grabbed Terry Harper, he saved her life because she was unconscious on her feet.
I don't mean to laugh. Bruce goes, "Marlon Starling, who got KO'd? I got KO'd. You remember that?"
Yeah.
I wasn't knocked out. He say, Marlon, he did hit you. And if you don't remember he hit you, that's proof he hit you. When?
Who got
When?
knocked out? I got knocked out. The fight's over. He's doing the interview. He didn't know what happened.
I remember that like it was yesterday. Thomas Maldonado hit him after the bell.
Yo.
Hey,
I
y'all
couldn't believe it.
remember when James Thunder hit Crawford Grimsley first punch of the fight?
Oh,
He got up. He was like,
yeah.
that
He got
just
throwing punches.
yeah, they just stop him.
Do you guys remember Terry Norris' first fight against Simon Brown? Man, Simon Brown was nailing Terry all night. But that one combination he hit him with before bell, he hit him with a three-piece, like boom, boom, boom. And Terry did that baby walk back to the corner.
I don't mean to laugh. I don't.
He looked like a baby that's trying to take his first steps.
Yo.
The
He
chicken
was
leg
like,
called the chicken leg.
Yo. He was walking with his arms up like this.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh.
Hey, and
Stop
how about when Vincent Petway knocked out Simon Brown? Simon Brown was laying on the canvas, still jabbing like
still
this,
jabbing.
with his eyes closed.
Just like that. Crazy stuff, man. I mean, we're laughing about it now, but when the shit happened to you, it ain't funny.
But you know what? Bernard Hopkins say the nerves are from the chin to the temple. That's where the nerves are. And like you say, Stormy, they tell you to aim at the point of the chin because he was teaching Rashard Lewis how to throw the right hand. Like you say, don't think about it, just throw it because when you think about it, that's the second that they can counter you on that. But yeah, I was listening to what y'all was saying earlier before I got on.
Yeah, Drew, wasn't I saying that?
Yeah, you
I
was just
said
saying that. Yep.
Where it's from, that area. Yeah, absolutely.
Man. Well, this been a great show, man. This has been a great show. Oh, salute to 88 Sports Talking that super chat. He said, remember when Zab got back up and started pointing and fell again? Yo, the Costa Zoo fight.
Yeah. Yep.
Lay there, man. Zab got up too fast. He pointed at Jay Nady and did the fucking Daffy Duck and fell again. He wasn't, I was like, oh, man.
Yeah, that one comedian made a joke out of that. Remember, he was saying that Zab got up and looked at Jay Nady and said, don't ever play with matches, and fell down.
I wonder what he ever said, what he said to Jay Nady for real when he got dropped. That be
don't
really
ever
interesting to know.
Yeah,
don't play with matches.
Jay, first of all, Jay Nady's like 6'5". He a big dude.
He's a big dude. Yeah.
But that whole night was like, that shit went left. It was riot in the ring. He's throwing chairs because that was supposed to be Zab's coming out party. He beats Costa Zoo. He was Floyd Mayweather before Floyd came into his own. That was supposed to be
come out,
Zab.
Drew. He came out. He came out of the coma that Costa Zoo put him in.
Oh, God damn it.
He didn't remain in there. He came out of there.
And you know what? And that goes back to what Jeremy was saying earlier about being a hard puncher and a sharp puncher. It wasn't a hard punch he had Zab with. It was a sharp punch, straight sharp punch to drop him.
Yep. He was in there goofing around too. Caught him going backwards.
Pulling back. He's pulling back. He's pulling back right when he got hit with the shot. Pulling back.
Man. Well, family, much love and appreciation. And Stormy, let them know how they can find you, brother.
Hey, man, everybody can find me right on YouTube. Stormy B-Man is the channel, and it's going down.
No diggity doubt, man. Trick Noty in the building. Let them know how they can find you, brother.
You can find me on Facebook as Anthony Carter, and you can find me on Instagram as Trick_Noty. And on here with y'all on Sundays, man, chopping up with these legends, man. We'll try to get Lionel on here, man. I really wanted to get him on here, man. I've talked to him on the phone, and man, he told me some stuff, man. He want to talk, man. It's gonna be great when we get him on here.
No doubt. And
had him.
Zero tolerance for the weary. We ain't
Yeah.
playing games with y'all. Get real and get your wig on the windshield, man. Get out of here. We ain't got no tolerance for nothing. I will see
Can you
y'all
see that one more time?
We don't play with them. There's no go to prison. There's no get another chance. All right? You get bopped
Judge,
upside
jury,
your
and
head.
executioner.
No doubt, man. You get bopped upside your head in my chat, you ain't coming back. It's over for you. It's over.
Hey, you owe me some money? Hell no, but here you go.
Is that the Punisher?
Oh, Warzone. That's why no one wants to say hello to me at the goddamn events. Be afraid, rightfully so. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bronx on deck.